Hi, everybody, and welcome to Roofing Contractors' continuing coverage of roofers coping with the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm RC Editor Art Aisner, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by two great roofing contractors from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Jonathan Sherwood and Rhett Seekins. Guys, why don't you, first of all, is it a good day for roofing in the Metroplex?
Always a good day to roof in Texas.
It's a great day today. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a hot one.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves to the audience? Tell us a little bit about your companies.
All right, sure, absolutely. One, thank you, Art, and thank you, RC Magazine, for giving myself and Rhett an opportunity to spend a few minutes with you and talk a little bit about what's going on in our industry during this time. Jonathan Sherwood here. I was an owner-operator originally for a roofing company in Denver, Colorado for about a decade, and then sold that company to the regional operations manager, John Mansville, and have been in the DFW area for about 7 years now. I currently hold the president seat for the commercial roofing division at Priority Roofing, and then branded myself, which just as Jonathan B. Sherwood Roofing Specialist and Roofers Helping Roofers on a national level for commercial consulting, sales training, and just turnkey fluid applied applications. So that would be the gist of what I have going on.
And I'm Rhett Seekins, owner of Select Construction, and we started in October of 2013, and have just recently, last couple of years, met Jonathan a couple of years ago. We've started getting heavily involved in commercial. We're nominated last year at Win the Storm for fastest growing roofing company, and it's been good. Last couple of years, we've scaled quite a bit. Started out with just me and my business partner, and we have 20 employees now. We'll start on Monday. We'll have 20 employees, and so we just continue to grow, and things are good here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, great, and that's a great place to pick up talking about the status of things, especially in your market. But Jonathan, in your last video with us, you showed us about returning to work safely. Has anything changed since then regarding safety guidelines, and how has that adjustment been going for you and your crews?
So for us, being in the fluid applied restoration, we typically are always going to have on the suits, the gloves, the half mask or respirators, and the protective eyewear. So the only thing that really added directly to us would have been the hand washing station. And we usually do have portable toilets on our job sites. I think where it really affected the industry is a lot of the other guys, you know, when they're doing single ply or doing shingles, you're not going to find them in gloves and half mask respirators, suits, and they never had really hand washing stations. So I see a lot of that still going on. We're still holding true to that. We do other things other than the fluid applied restoration. So that's only been a little bit of a difficult challenge because, you know, in Texas, it's hot. And so when you got these guys in plastic gloves and face masks and they're going to the edge of the roof and pulling the mask aside and letting the sweat come out and they're burning up in there and it's already 100-something degrees, I really feel for them. And, you know, we're just trying to make sure that we keep everybody safe and keep everybody healthy as we kind of push through this season. And I know that Select Construction is really big on their OSHA guidelines, their safety. As he was saying, you know, they've really just propelled themselves into the commercial realm. Rhett, so what's some of the things that you guys have been doing just to take extra measures during this time?
Well, I mean, I just will repeat what you said, is just kind of stepping up our game a little bit. We already obviously had guidelines that we had to stand by, and things that we needed to do, but we've just kind of ramped it up a little bit. I mean, Jonathan does a lot of our work, and so the things that he's doing is the same thing on our job. Also, we have we're like 50-50 roofing and our commercial and residential, and so we have a lot of residential customers, and so we have, you know, we bought everybody these masks here to wear whenever they go into someone's home, when they knock on someone's door to show up to do an inspection. They're just taking precautions, obviously hand sanitizer in everybody's vehicles, social distancing, staying, you know, 6 feet away from the customer. So those are things now that we're talking about in our meetings, where it used to just be a sales meeting and a motivational time and a, you know, time for us to talk about our wins and stuff like that. Now we've had to, you know, put on the agenda for the meeting is, you know, a safety talk. And a lot of our salespeople, and then they don't have anything to do with a lot of commercial work. They're strictly residential. So in the past, that stuff really hasn't been discussed, and now it's something that we definitely have to think about and talk about.
Rhett, can you hold up and show the mask again, please?
Yeah, it's got our logo on one side. It's our hashtag Select Strong here, and so obviously we're going to try to brand everything we can, and since all of our people are going to be wearing those, and we've handed them out to people too. There was a shortage there for a while, and we had somebody making these for us, and we had a surplus of them, and so we were giving them away to customers who didn't have access, to elderly people who obviously are at a higher risk than most, and wanted to pass those out so that they could be safe too.
Yeah.
Got it.
One of the other things that I saw that's come along during this pandemic that I thought was very unique is, at Priority, we have 70 plus sales consultants. So there's a lot of residential roof inspections that are going on. But we've come up with, and I've seen some other organizations, a contactless inspection and appointment. So they'll go out there, they'll drone it. They won't even go to the door of the homeowner. They'll get the information from the drone. They'll put it in a video clip to them. They'll get on Zoom with them. They'll walk them through the process, and they'll get a digital contract on it, and they can do a completely contactless inspection, appointment, and claim, and everything to get it rolling for the provider to come out and see what there is as far as damages and loss.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of that too, especially for elderly people. It's harder with them because they're not as computer savvy. It's harder to get an 80-year-old woman on a Zoom call. But we've got kids that can help them, grandkids that can help them, and stuff like that. We try to do our best to accommodate while still taking care of our customers, because obviously we were deemed essential during the lockdown, and the way we looked at it was, these people are forced to stay in their home, then their roof is the most important thing at this point. If it starts leaking, or it fails, or they have damage, then that's something that definitely needs to be taken care of. So we really looked at it like it really was essential that we were being able to help our customers.
And it sounds like that. Do you always have that kind of positive approach, or that sense of opportunity, even in some of these really challenging times?
Definitely. You can see these are our core values right here. Mine are backwards. I don't know how Jonathan got his to be. I was asking him. I'm not as computer savvy as he is, but it says positivity is the number one core value. And so, yeah, we want to help people, and we look at our job like that's what we do. We're not just offering a service. We're not just a construction company or roofing company. We feel like we're a little bit set apart from most, in that we want to give back and take care of our customers. We actually started having meetings about a year and a half ago, and talking about like what it takes to get a 5-star review. And what we realized is that it basically, all you have to do is the bare minimum to get a 5-star review is just show up on time, do what you say you're going to do, and make sure the roof isn't falling off whenever you get done, and pick up most of your nails. Not even, you have to pick up all of them to get a 5-star review. So we started talking about in our meetings, okay, well, if, let's say, for instance, there was a 6-star review, what would it take to get one of those? What about a 7-star, an 8-star? And so we got all the way up to an 11-star. So we have this thing here where our goal is to get an 11-star review from our customers. And so we kind of go above and beyond to make sure that happens.
And that culture and that brand at Select is one of the biggest things that drew me to them. We've done, as you said, quite a bit of work over the last couple of years, but I think where Rhett and I definitely agree and are always on the same page is, we say it all the time, it's not the roof that counts, but what's under the roof that counts. And as long as we continue going like that, it seems like a great partnership, and we've been able to help the community, help the people that we're working with. And it's, whenever you go through a situation like this pandemic, you're prepped, and whatever comes out of you when you're pressed, that's who you are. And It's been a good opportunity to show the type of roofing contractors that we actually are in the DFW area.
Mm-hmm.
What are you hearing from other roofers, not just within your specific market, about some of their concerns or problems, and how is roofers helping roofers responding?
So obviously, because of the niche that I'm involved in with the Roofers Helping Roofers, I talk to a lot of contractors on a national level. I have a lot of servicing states. So what I've heard is, you can really tell who built the business sustainable during this time. If they're running a sustainable business, it's very obvious right now, because I've talked to some of the large commercial contractors that I work with. And for instance, CapEx, even for myself, there's been a lot of loss in CapEx. I would have to say there's been, just that I'm aware of, $10 to $12 million in CapEx loss just from talking to my peers in servicing states that I work with. I know that a lot of folks were having a hard time generating some of the commercial contracts and deals, because in the commercial, you're looking for good, sustainable, raving fan culture accounts. Well, that requires, going to different shows and events, networking, PRing, and it's really hard to have that PR and that network in those events when we're in this time. So now there's been other avenues that they're trying to look to gather opportunity, and a lot of those opportunities aren't as solid because it's hurry up and wait in the commercial field. You got to build the account, you're waiting a little bit to get things moving, so it's hard to find that. You're left with maybe telemarketing, you can't do any type of door knocking, or maybe just cold calling off a cold star and then churning what you do have. But what you do have are some of those CapEx accounts that just aren't putting money into things right now because of the certain circumstances. So then maybe you're sitting and you're going back to the basics and you're just kind of waiting for some collateral damage. So I've seen either roofing companies that have been flourishing, roofing companies that have been sustaining, or roofing companies that have been taking a loss. And it's all really been based off the dynamic of who they are as a company and how they were structured. I know a lot of the large organizations begin clipping unneeded or unessential expenses. Like if you had a company cam account with 60 different logins on it, but only 12 or 15 were being used, okay, we're going to get rid of the ones that aren't being used. Things that we may have been pouring money in, just be pouring money into to keep things moving, that were just kind of non-essential. Those were some of the first things that I saw in conference calls and meetings that people were beginning to cut. The big thing that I liked is the companies that I'm connected to, their number one priority was their people and their staff. And how do we keep the people that we need here, and how do we help them through this? And that was one of the things that made me the happiest. But those, again, were the companies where they were pressed, they were sustainable. And then you had some of them where they were losing things, and they were losing opportunity, and they were didn't have cash flow right where it needed to be. This is a cash flow operating business. So then they were kind of scrambling. And then you had ones that were just kind of just getting through. So seeing it kind of go all over the place. I really can't speak on it from a residential standpoint. I don't have anything to do with the residential division. I know Rhett, as you said, they do about half and half. So Rhett, you could probably kind of dial in for us what's going on the residential side of that.
I got to touch on what you said. If you built a sustainable company, I feel like and I have a lot of friends here in DFW that own roofing companies, and I've seen it all over the board. I talked to a buddy of mine, and I think he said it best. He was like, well, because our work picked up as soon as the lockdown started. Actually, as soon as the fear of the pandemic started, our work started to pick up, and he was like, well, that's because you guys are farmers, and we're more hunters. And it made me think, he was right. We really do plant a lot of seeds. We do a lot of networking. We have a lot of referral partners. We do a lot to brand ourselves and get out there, go to a ton of networking events and sponsor a lot of things, give it to charities. And so that was something that kind of made me think, and what coming out of the pandemic has shown me that maybe we need to hunt a little bit more. And so that's what we're doing now. But yeah, we definitely grew and scaled during this whole thing. We didn't cut one thing. If anything, we added people, we added trucks, we added strategies and processes. And I think that's, like Jonathan said, if you're flexible and you have a sustainable company, the first thing that we said, the very first meeting we had after the lockdown, I told everybody, look, if you're nervous and you need to stay home, then by all means, I want you to be safe. I want you to feel comfortable. But if you're going to be here, then what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on the things that we can control, and we're going to ignore everything else. And I'm talking about everything. If we don't have control over it and there's nothing we can do about it, then we're not even going to think about it. Let's just focus on the stuff that we can control. And that was pivoting, changing. Can we do this? What if we entertain this? What if we do some more telemarketing? How about mailers? Well, if we do mailers, what's the best way to do them? Let's try 5 different ways to do them and see which one works. And so this whole thing is basically, it's improved our company 100-fold, just because we had to come out of our comfort zone and try new things, try new technologies. We switched CRMs during this whole pandemic. And that was something that we had thought about doing in the past, but whenever all this happened, we were like, we wanted to be able to do email campaigns and stuff, and our old CRM didn't support that well. So we said, well, it's time to make the switch, because we got to have other ways to generate business.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty bold move, especially switching up during a pandemic. But that's a great place for us to pivot, especially on technology. You both have talked about the importance of it in keeping things sustainable during this time. Are there any concerns, though, about the rapid influx, of it, and how, when it came time for you to switch your CRM, how did you, come to make that decision and make sure that you're, staying ahead of the curve, or trying to?
So I'm probably not, I'm not the best at this, because I'm deep down, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you get comfortable in certain things in certain ways, but really, to me, it's just about research and growth. And I want to make sure that we're always growing. And so take the CRM, for instance. That was just doing a lot of research. You can sign up for literally everything. You could spend $100,000 a month on technology in this business, just with all the apps that they have, and the hail tracing stuff, and the measuring apps, and you name it, they've got an app for it, and it costs money. And so I think it all boils down to research, reaching out to people, getting referrals, talking to people who are using that particular app or that particular technology, and saying, how's it work for you? How's it increased your revenue or your productivity or your morale, whatever. I mean, it all plays into it. When you talk about salespeople out in the field, you want to give them all the tools that they need to do their job, but you can also overload them with stuff that just doesn't really, isn't really needed. And I think it's just a matter of picking through the stuff and figuring out what works best for your company and your business model.
Got it. Jonathan, I don't know if you had anything to add on the technology front, but I definitely also want to ask you about the your grocery cart and tissue community effort. Yeah,
I kind of piggyback on what Rhett said with the technology. For myself, I was a little bit of a dinosaur. I didn't want to change or adapt, several years back. And it wasn't until I ended up going to a specific conference and listening to Gary Vee speak. And he basically said, out of everybody that's in here, there was thousands of people. He's one person that's going to get this. And that's when I ended up kicking off my social media and doing the things that I've been doing, and doing the Roofers Helping Roofers. And I guess I was that one guy in the room. And I was.
You didn't even have a Facebook then, did you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was opposed to Facebook and social media at the time. I didn't even have any type of social media. And I was like, okay, I'm going to dial in and I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I watched it revolutionize my actual career. I was already doing a lot of this large commercial stuff, but nobody had any idea who I was, and nobody really knew, because I wasn't documenting and showing the value in it to the public eye and the industry peers. And I've learned that, you really have to be moldable and pliable to grow in this business. But Rhett was right. You can spend and burn tons of money and pay lots of dumb tax on just signing up for anything. It's really taking the time to go ahead and sit with the rep, or actually check out the product, which is, owners, we're always wanting to drive in more revenue. And even though that's part of it because it makes the business better, there's always something else we can think we can be doing than doing those Zoom calls with the rep for that new technology or something. But if you look at some of the stuff that's out there, like the Hell Trace or the Hell Recon, and really dialing in. I remember when you drove around in a truck looking for dents in the hoods of cars and mailboxes so you could start jumping roofs. Or looking for a vacant house that's for sale to hop on the roof and see where it's at. Now you can just head right out to where it's at and kind of pick what you're at and know the demographic of the area of where you're actually working. Or like Company Cam, for instance. I mean, they did a great job. You could have all your pictures in one area. You can label them. You're not tracking down every sales guy and asking them for pictures. So some of this technology is just making us so much better and so much more efficient than we've ever been before. So I've obviously been taking advantage of that. Once I kind of broke the mold on myself to kind of get things working, I've been really taking advantage of that technology. I'm glad that you brought up that gift card and toilet tissue campaign. That was just something that when this pandemic happened, it was just really on my heart to do something. I feel like this industry has been kind of in a groaning where it's just been looking for leaders of what is right, not followers of what is wrong. And that's one of the things I love the most about Roofers Helping Roofers. It's not all about monetary gain. We do business together and we bring value to every relationship. I won't get in a relationship unless it's bringing value to the other individual organization I'm working with and myself. And we can do that monetarily. But the thing I like the most is it's some contractors raising up just to kind of do the right things. I couldn't even have done this campaign without the help of my industry peers. So what we ended up doing is doing a dollar for dollar match. And we put out some videos saying, hey, look, for every dollar that comes in, we're going to match that dollar. I think we're at a little over $4,000 at this point in time. And we're at the last home stretch where we'll have 84 individuals that have got resources and food and toilet tissue pumped into their homes. And just the responsiveness that we got from the industry, I was wondering exactly what was going to happen, but it was just quick. They were just ready to jump on it and see where things were going. And we documented everything. And the thing I liked about that is it showed the industry where their resources were going. It wasn't like, hey, give us a few dollars, we're going to take care of this. Like, hey, here's every individual that we've seen. And it's good for the community to see roofing contractors doing this type of stuff because it's unfortunate. Roofing contractors are a little rough around the edges. It is what it is. But there are some really good people in this industry. And this was the opportunity, like I said before, we got pressed. And now the community got to see what came out of us. And it was people stepping up. It wasn't even just necessarily our campaign. I know of roofing contractors that were doing stimulus checks just out of their own pocket. I know of ones that were sending taco trucks to hospitals. I know of ones that are doing podcasts and that everybody that goes on, they're donating a certain amount of money to specific organizations during these times. I really like what I saw from this because it raised up basically a remnant of individuals that really do care in this industry, and it just allowed us to come together and just make us more strong. We're getting ready to do another campaign as soon as this one finishes where we're going to do a dollar for dollar match. I'll match everybody's money, and our goal is to come up with $10,000, and we're going to pick someone in the industry. As you know, this industry struggles with addiction and alcohol and drug abuse, and we're going to get them into a rehab program and then get them into the Roofers and Recovery program. We have some stuff that we're getting ready to do with this protest that's going on with the George Floyd and the actual police, and seeing how we can maybe put together something that'll make an impact that will actually sustain. So I think even in these perilous times, it's the greatest environment and greatest opportunity for roofing contractors to step up and actually do something that's going to impact what's going on around us. So I've loved it. The campaign's been great. We're going to continue it for a week, and then we're going to jump on the next one and see what we can do to kind of shake and move things.
Awesome. Well, thanks for both of you guys for sharing, the positives you're taking away from this experience. And that's, to me, that's really, showing some leadership. And you should be commended for that. What's anything on your warrior list, though, as you look at the next month or 60, 90 days?
I'm not much of a worrier. It's hard to be a business owner or an entrepreneur if you worry much. Like I said earlier, our mantra is here. We're going to focus on what we can control, and no, we're not going to think about what we can't control. But if I had to say anything, obviously cash flow in our business is always, and we've scaled so much over the past 2 or 3 months We're doing more work now than we've ever done. And so it's just trying to keep all that stuff dialed in and forecasting. When you work with insurance companies primarily, a lot of them are working from home. A lot of insurance companies have furloughed and laid off, and so they're shorthanded. And so we don't know. It's kind of the unknown. We don't know if it's going to slow down cash flow as far as checks coming in from the insurance company, depreciation getting paid, and that kind of thing. So if I had to say, I wouldn't use the word worry. We have our eye on it, and we're keeping close watch of it to see if that's something that's going to affect us at all. But yeah, just knowing that we're on the tail end of this thing, and as far as the pandemic goes, that's really the only thing that we're kind of watching out for.
As far as me, I kind of got to join Rhett there. I try to stay away from worry and anxiousness. So I guess I prefer to use the word concerned or kind of keeping an eye on. I've been fortunate, my niche is a little bit different. For what I do, I'm on a national level and it's large commercial. And I've just been blessed that I have a lot of what I call built to last partnerships like I have with Select Construction that are just companies based off of great core values and culture, and they're more than sustainable businesses. So during this time, and we had some collateral damage, a lot of guys are bringing stuff to me already. But the one thing that pops up in my mind that is something that I deal with quite a bit is I do a lot of multifamily, which means I'm dealing with a lot of investors, whether it's apartment complex properties or strip malls. And we had a lot of CapEx stuff going on. For example, it was 41 buildings that I was getting ready to start, and they had put in a supplemental loan to get the resources to remove and replace the roofs. And right after they got the clear to close, the pandemic hit, and they changed all the guidelines and told them they had to have something like 15 months of PITI in reserves. Well, 41 buildings, I'm pretty sure that number was pretty hefty, and it shut that loan down. And that was just one for me specifically. So something I'm really keeping my eye on that was a big component of my business for a commercial was CapEx. So I want to see, what's going to happen with that. I had a few things in the pipe that were definitely going to get done, but let's look at, that multifamily CapEx. A lot of those investors are buying B and C class properties that they're going to rehab, increase the rents and their large investments. Well, when you're in B and C class areas, which really got hit hard on this pandemic, you do have to worry about whether or not those rents are coming in. So I can see, as the investor, where they got to watch where those monies are at, because they can't really go into new roofs. They might want to do repairs instead, or very minimize what that expensive, just to make sure that they're sustainable during this time. And I know guys that have been doing multifamily in the DFW area for over decades, and they've kind of put a hold on everything. So that's one thing I definitely want to keep my eye on when you're dealing with the strip malls, retail, and you're dealing with the passive or sponsor or syndicate multifamily investors. I want to see what's going on there. That's kind of one of my concerns. I'm ready for that to come back, because not just for myself, but all of the accounts that I work with, the Roofer Helping Roofers, that was a big portion of it. So, we definitely saw a deficit when it came to that. But on the flip side of that coin, the relationships we have with sustainable business, just like I was saying, Select, are still bringing in stuff, still bringing in large amounts of square footage. So we saw an increase in one area and a decrease in another area. So I think we just were good at really building sustainable partnerships. One of the things that I wanted to mention, though, being a faithful subscriber to Roofing Contractor magazine, I just saw that you guys are going completely digital. Is that correct?
That's true, Jonathan. Yes. Thanks for mentioning that. It is something we're excited about. It is, on the one hand, it will be a big change for everyone that likes to have the roofing contractor, within their hands. But as you'll see on our June issue cover, you're just going to see it in your tablet now, or on your phone, or the digital device of your choice. So we're really looking forward to the challenge. It's pushing us, as you said, it's going to press us to innovate as we already have. And I think what's great news is that nothing is going to change in terms of the content and providing roofers with the opportunity to connect and share information to help make their businesses more successful.
Yeah, I am super excited for that. I mean, there's nothing like having the RC magazine at your fingertips like that. And then the plus side of it, we don't got a bunch of paper going out. And then it's a fast-paced world. I mean, this is a fast-paced world. Even when the pandemic slowed us down, our nation is a fast-paced nation. When you can push a button and send somebody and share something with them, as far as trying to meet up with them and give them the magazine. For the instance, when we talked about earlier that video that we did for the safety with y'all, it's like, it was so easy for me to take the link and share with my friends and get feedback from them on what they were doing with safety than it would be to hand a magazine and have them read it and get back to me. It's just more efficient. It just really is. So I love it. I'm excited for it. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to all that. And that's great.
Awesome.
Great. All right. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time today. I know you got to get back to work and keep on roofing. For everyone out there, I really appreciate you joining us, and be sure to check out Roofing Contractor on our digital edition at roofingcontractor.com. Thanks, and stay safe.